Joining us now, 2016 presidential candidate Donald J. Trump. How are you, sir?
Hi, Sean. How are you?
Do I have to call you Mr. President if you win? Do I have to say
no,
sir?
You can call me whatever you want. You are a special person, Sean, that I can tell you, and your listeners know that for a long time.
How are you feeling today? How do you feel about?
Well, I feel good. I feel number one, I had a marathon for about 3 weeks. You were watching it where I was doing, speeches in front of these.
You're doing like 20 states to Hillary's one. Yeah, I saw.
And that was good. I got home at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I actually started a speech at 12:30 in Michigan, and we had close to 30,000 people there. You saw that. It was amazing.
I did. The Grand Rapids.
But I hear good results. I hear a lot of good things. I hope the people in the Florida Panhandle get out, and the Great Corridor get out. That's going to be really good because I think Florida.
The I-4 corridor. Yep. Yeah, the I-4 corridor is where Florida's won and lost.
And the Panhandle. I was just told if we can get the people in the Panhandle out and the corridor out, the I-4 corridor. We're going to win Florida. So whatever you can do, folks, if you're listening, get out there and vote. Get out there.
And it also goes for Colorado. It goes for Michigan. I mean, the fact that you put Michigan in play, and maybe at the end of the night, who knows, Pennsylvania. What I'm hearing is massive turnout everywhere.
Right.
The first wave of exit polling data will come in about a little over a half hour.
Good.
So we'll have some. But I'm going to tell you something. Mr. Trump, I know this from doing this now for 30 years on radio. And I'll never forget in 2004, the first wave of exit polls had John Kerry as the next president.
Right.
And Dick Cheney called my radio program. I wouldn't say he was panicked, but he was resolved to try and motivate people to go vote for obvious reasons.
Right.
And they couldn't have been more wrong. They were so wrong in these polls. So I urge people, regardless of what comes out in these exit polls, don't pay attention to it. You still go vote.
Right. Well, I hear Michigan is very, very close, and it hasn't been in play for, 30 some odd years. I hear that Florida is very, very close, and that again, the Panhandle could get out and vote, and it would be really, really good because those people are incredible people, and they're on our side. And the I-4 corridor, if they get out and vote, we're going to win Florida, but we have to get them really motivated to vote. And motivated is to make America great again. It's very simple because that's what they want. That's what they want. But the Panhandle is so important. I was just told that by somebody, the Panhandle, if they get out and vote. So we'll see what happens, but Colorado also is very, very close, and that's not exactly a Republican bastion in terms of a state, but it has been this year. So we have some. I think we're going to have a very exciting time. I think your show is going to get very high ratings tonight.
I don't have a show tonight.
Oh, that's terrible. They did that to you?
Well, I've never do the show on Election Day.
Well,
actually.
I would have watched you. I watch you. Oh,
that would be nice if I got to say, if you won, Fox News projects Donald J. Trump as the 45th president of the United States.
You would deserve it.
Yeah,
you would deserve it. But
you know what? You know why though? I mean, for me, it was always about. I kept pointing out to my audience how bad things have been. I warned everybody how bad Obama would be, and I was more right than I thought.
Right.
When you have 13 million more Americans on food stamps and 8 million more in poverty and the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years and the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s and the worst recovery since the 40s, and you double the debt, how much worse can you get than that?
Well, there's something happening that's interesting, and I've gone up. Sort of interestingly, I've gone up since the debates. The debates seem to have helped me a lot, and the poll numbers have gone up to to a point where we're sort of even, and we'll find out if it was even because when we look at the crowds of people coming out, it doesn't feel even. It feels better than that. But there's something that's happening that's amazing, and that's Obamacare. Obamacare is killing our families. It's killing our businesses. It's destroying families. And businesses are shutting down, and they're hiring a small number of employees part-time, and people that never had a part-time job in their life and don't want it are working part-time jobs. Obamacare, Sean, I mean, regardless of what happens tonight, Obamacare has to be repealed and totally replaced. It's really destroying the fabric of our families and our businesses in this country.
One of the things there are two specific platforms of yours that I think would take this economy and throw it into overdrive. One is energy independence. There's so many millions of jobs. And then you have the added bonus, of course, of not relying on countries that hate our guts for the lifeblood of our economy.
Right.
And the second thing that I never liked this rich versus poor narrative. Under your tax plan, reduced from 7 brackets to 3 brackets, you know, you also have the repatriation of trillions of dollars,
right,
the lowest corporate tax rate. If corporations could bring back those trillions, wouldn't they be building factories in Michigan and manufacturing centers in Michigan and Ohio and Wisconsin and Minnesota and Pennsylvania?
Well, Sean, we're lowering taxes substantially. We're, as you know, we're making, I call it simplification. We're bringing it from 7 brackets to 3. I mean, right now people can't even do their own tax returns because it's so complicated. We're simplifying it. And really substantially lowering it. And we're lowering business from 35%, the business tax, from 35 down to 15. But the other thing, Sean, is we're getting rid of the unnecessary regulations. We're being regulated out of business. Our businesses are leaving the country between taxes and being overregulated. And, you know, I think this country is just it's going to be a machine for jobs. And, you know, you're going to be very proud of it. I know you've always loved it, but a lot of people are liking it more and more. We have to do it. We're stagnant. We are going
It's horrible.
nowhere.
It's
and
horrible.
Very, very bad.
We have nearly 50 million Americans on food stamps.
Right.
We have nearly 50 million Americans in poverty. Now that is, it makes me so angry because we have so much more potential than that. And, you know, here Obama comes in with all the hope and promises, and then he laughs off, oh, I guess those shovel-ready jobs weren't so shovel-ready, and he robs our kids and grandkids blind. He opened up the piggy bank and smashed it open, and I haven't even talked about foreign policy. Let me ask you this question. You have traveled more than you probably ever imagined you would in the last year and a half.
True. In a lifetime.
Has this changed you?
Well, I'll tell you, I've learned a lot. You know that what I've learned more than anything else? The people in this country are amazing. The spirit,
they really are.
The potential, the talent. Now, we're being led down the wrong path. We're being led horribly. But the people in this country are amazing. They're great people. They love the country. They're discouraged because, you know, their whole, so much has been taken away. And, you know, as I mentioned, Obamacare and the high taxes and everything else. But the potential of this country is really the thing that I think I've felt more than anything else. And I've been doing this now for a year and a half. The press is very dishonest, extremely dishonest. And I'm not saying everybody, including you, by the way, but tremendous. I mean, the stories that are written.
Can you believe CNN feeding questions to Hillary? Can you believe CNN asking the DNC what they should be asking you in interviews? Good grief.
And
by the way, CNN is the worst.
Sean, about that is there's hardly any publicity that I've seen that Hillary Clinton is dishonest. I've seen tremendous amount. Look, if you were going to West Point or Annapolis or the Air Force Academy, and you got the questions to a test or questions to a debate, they would, and if you didn't report it, you would be thrown out of the school immediately.
Yep, they have an honor code.
Hillary never reported. Forget about Donna Brazile. Who cares about Donna Brazile? Donna Brazile got these in some cases probably went direct. But she never, sorry, there's a phone call coming in.
No worries.
She never reported this. And that's so bad. And nobody writes. Have you seen any stories? Like, I imagine there's some. I mean, they talk about Donna Brazile, but nobody says that Hillary went into those debates, had the questions, had the answers, and never reported it.
Could you imagine if anyone ever gave me the questions and I gave them to you? I'd be crucified.
It would be the reinstitution of the electric chair for both of us. We'd be sitting together, and it would be on live television on
exactly. CNN. It would be live television on CNN. Exactly right. I will say this. I'm actually getting more data as we come, and from the people that I'm hearing, this election tonight is going to be not only a massive turnout. This is extremely close. Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina, Iowa, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Michigan, Nevada, New Hampshire. And if you win those states, you can be the president. And, you know, I know that from my perspective is I just hate to see a country like ours, as great as our country can be, suffer needlessly.
Right.
And we've been suffering because of, you know, look at how corrupt, you know, I don't know if you've been following WikiLeaks. For the last number of weeks, I've been putting all the WikiLeaks developments on the screen on my TV show. And I'm like, is anyone in America besides me? I'm like an island unto myself covering all of this. And it shows such deep corruption in our political system. It really, as bad as I've always thought it is, I never thought it was this bad.
Well, I'm amazed how little it's covered at all, the WikiLeaks. I mean, some of those statements are unbelievable, the corruptness, even the knowledge into things like how the media works with the campaign, the DNC, how they're working together. And, you know, give me the questions. How do you want it? They send stories to people to check them out. Do you like them? I mean, it's just nobody ever heard of a thing like this. How do you like the story? Do you want to make any changes? I've never seen anything like it. And the press is really hardly covering it, the mainstream.
I know, it's so disgusting. One of the things, unfinished business, I can tell you from my perspective, is I am going to take all of this information after the election, and I am going to go after them so hard that I'm going to make sure every single American understands how the so-called objective media. Now they say, well, Hannity, you give opinion. I give opinions because that's what my job is. I tell everybody that I have an opinion. I'm not hiding it. I'm not covering it up. But I'd never feed you a question. I mean, that's insane. Before a debate, and CNN is asking the DNC for questions. It sounds to me,
well,
and I've known
you this with you. You and I, we like each other and we respect each other professionally and everything else. There is no chance, if you were hosting a debate, there is zero chance that you would give me questions.
I wouldn't.
Zero.
They'd never let me host a debate.
I don't even think you'd think about it.
I wouldn't.
You don't know fairness. What's taking place is horrible. And then you see the 33,000 emails deleted. And after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress, and nothing happens, and you see General Cartwright's going to go to jail for 5 years maybe for doing nothing by comparison.
Yeah. I interviewed yesterday on this program Kathleen Saucier, and her son, Christian Saucier, now just got sentenced to a year in jail. What did this kid do? He took 6 pictures of a submarine that he was proud to work in. He now had to leave his 1-year-old baby, his wife, and his mother, and he's now spending a year in jail.
Right.
And she gets
away with...
An old
submarine, Sean. An old submarine. If Russia or China wanted those, probably they've got them from 20 years ago. No, this is an pretty old submarine, as I understand it. But think of it. Clinton sends stuff through her maid, I guess from the Philippines, right? Through the maid. And
by the way, a crime.
Classified information. And nothing happens to her.
You know, just the mishandling of information is a crime. Forget everything else. Just the mishandling. And they let her off. And by the way, that's another thing we're going to deal with. And I'll tell you one other thing I'm going to deal with post-election is a Republican Party that frankly created you. When all the primaries, when there's 17 of you and 65% of Republicans say they feel betrayed by their own party, there needs to be a little bit of introspection about what they did wrong. And I would argue they don't fight. They don't stand for anything. They back down. All of that. But listen, I bet you can't wait. If you win to get things turned around in this country, I know how you work. I know how your mind works. I bet you won't even take a day off if you win, would you?
Well, even since we talked, I've been thinking so much about what's wrong. And, to a large extent, it's a lack of common sense. These leaders, they have no common sense. I talk about Mosul where they announced they're going in. Now you see how tough it is, right? They're really fighting. And the leaders that they were trying to get, they left 4 months ago. But I talk about that a lot where it's just inconceivable to me. They want to go and attack Mosul. Why do you have to announce it? It's unbelievable. Remember the elements of surprise, the old days with Study or whatever. And can you imagine General MacArthur and Patton and all these great generals?
Crazy. Let me ask you a question as we're closing here.
I always say kiddingly at the speeches, they're spinning in their grave when they see this, right? But
do you think
it's horrible? It's a lack of common sense in addition to everything else.
I watched you last night. You said if you do win, and we're going to know in a number of hours now, that you want to be the president for all Americans. Can you bring the country together?
We can absolutely. Our country is so divided, racially, economically. It's so divided, and we can do it. You know, Obama has been a divider. He's been an absolute divider. And now all he's doing is campaigning. You know, she can't get a crowd, so she either has to go get Jay-Z, which, and in all fairness...
Yeah, using the N-word and the F-word.
You know, people are leaving his thing. His language is so bad. A lot of these political people are in there, and they're hearing the words. And you know the words I'm talking about.
Oh, it's horrible. And she's offended about you. Listen, I don't mean to interrupt you. Good luck, Mr. Trump. It's been an honor. You have worked so hard. We're proud of you, and we're really hoping you pull this off tonight. Good luck.
Well, we'll see, Sean, and you take care of yourself, and I appreciate everything.
All right, sir. Thank you.